Hey YouTube, Meef here. Welcome to episode 33 of our Feed the Beast Continuum quick tips and tricks. Thing I wanted to go over today was we're going to do a little bit of ME automation, and we're going to do it with the arc furnace. So this bad boy, and then we're going to check out how I make it work with the industrial grinder. So I've got some of this stuff set up already. There was a couple things I wanted to go over on the actual ME sets here. And we're not going to get too complicated with this just yet. Let's get this stuff put back in here. I wanted to go over some of the settings, because since this was set up, I haven't done a whole lot with explaining how this stuff works. So this is kind of the basic tutorial for just the crafting terminal, the pattern terminal, and then the fluid terminal. So let's take a look here. We've got a few different options along here on the side. As you can see here, you've got a terminal style. I usually keep this, I think this is the default, but I usually keep this in the tall mode. It should shift the bar over for JEI just a bit. So you still got that there. There's a few different options here, so we can sort this by name. You've got number of items, and then you've got mod. So you can see this kind of lines stuff up. Usually keep this on item name. That way if I just need something real quick, just pop it out of here and that's good to go. The next one down, you've got stored and craftable. So this is just stored items, only craftable. Since I don't have anything that's craftable, this is just going to be blank, so just leave this as default. And then sorting order, you can do this however you want. So zinc Z would be at the top rather than A. So that's pretty simple. One of the cool things here is this search box mode. So it's locked into JEI, just enough items, so it's synchronized, and I keep this on auto keep. So if I were to type in iron here, it synchronizes not only the stuff inside the ME terminal, but it also does with the JEI search thing here. So it sets that up. The other great thing is if I X out of there and then come back in, it keeps my last search. Keeps my last search, and then I'm able to type right away, use the keyboard. Now if you notice here, if we change this from synchronized auto keep to just standard, now I'm trying to type in here, won't do anything. So auto search, cursor comes back up, and then we can type again. It's easier just to keep it on auto. It automatically sets that up, so you can just jump in there and do it right away. So standard was just your standard box here. We got the auto search, auto keep. This will bring stuff up. So if we type in iron, it'll just do it inside the ME window. Here's your standard search. And that's pretty much it for that. Standard search keep is kind of the same thing. So if we type in iron, oops, iron, walk away, yep, so it comes back. So this is usually the way I keep it. I keep it on synchronized auto keep. So if there's a recipe here, let's say we're looking for, you know, a block of iron, pop it in there, that's it. Now we've got blocks of iron, just start pumping them out. So that's the way that works. We've got our pattern terminal here, and as you can see, I've already got some of this stuff working. And there's a few different options here. Right now I've got some blank patterns in here, but whatever pattern you set in the crafting box here, you can pump this into a crafted, like a pattern cell. Once you do that, you can get the stuff set into the crafting grids, and then the crafting computers to do auto crafting. We won't get into that right now because that is probably going to be a two-part set of episodes. But it should be worth it once it's done. Just remember that this is here. You can actually craft out of this too if this is a concern for you. Just you can go ahead and make a pattern terminal if you don't have the resources to make both. So I've also got a fluid terminal here. There isn't a ton of storage on these things. You make the bigger cells, it works a lot better. So we'll get into some of the cell partitioning at some point, but just know this is here. I'm keeping a small reserve of latex and biodiesel here just in case I need it. So 30 buckets, 40 buckets. The way this works is you put your bucket in, take the bucket out. Put the bucket in, it comes out empty. No big deal. If you want to select latex, go ahead and select it, and that's how it comes out. So you can get pretty crazy with these, especially with the fluid export buses and import buses. We could be dumping latex into this system as fast as that machine over there could handle it, and then use it as a buffer. But it's all dependent on the storage. As you can see here, I kind of need to get this upgraded since a lot of these chips are full. We'll do a short episode on how to make that work, but that's done with some of the cell workbench stuff. But it's all there. Let's take a look at these machines. So what I've got going here, you can see that there is a ton of shit inside here. And I've just let this thing run. I've let it do its thing. But you're going to notice here that there is a couple different things here. You'll see all the glass cable, and this is run into the system. If you set this up, like I've got it set up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different devices, you don't really have to worry about the channels in this setup. So you're going to notice that there is some channel things that you're going to have to figure out here, but this basic setup should get you there. Start with the basic ore processing. Once you get to it, we'll take a look at some of the other stuff here in later episodes. But let's look at what I got here. You'll see this is a ME import bus. If you right click this, this has got some different options here. So the import bus here, you can tell it to only put in some stuff. Now, in order to increase this to 9 different items, you're going to need some different chipsets here. Let's take a look at Energistics. What we're looking for here, where the hell are they? Capacity cards. Capacity cards are going to open these up. You can see there's 4 slots here. So the first one will get you 4, and then the second one will get you the rest of the 4, and then you can put in some acceleration cards. You'll see here that there's different cards, inverter cards, redstone, and here's the acceleration. The breakdown on the right in the info box kind of tells you what you can put this in. So that's there for you. I use the acceleration cards, so I'll show you that in just a bit here. One of the other handy tools that you should get used to using here is an ME toggle bus. As you can see here, this says the device is offline. So this works with a redstone signal. Right now this is off, and the channel is shut off as well. And we'll get to more of the channel stuff later, but just keep in mind that this is how you shut segments of ME networks off, is toggle bus. You throw this on your glass cables, and then you don't have to worry about it. If we turn this bitch on, let's take a look here. We've got 11 gold, 35 iron, some coal there. Let's turn this bitch on. You can see that these turn on, the little indicators change, and that's what it's doing. And it should be starting to pull some of this stuff in. Usually starts top left. It would take a while to import all this stuff. You can see without the accelerator cards, this isn't real fast. So, but anyway, that's there. I'm going to shut this back off, and you can see devices go back offline, and the import into the ME network stops. So keep in mind that if you're going to do this, you need more storage. I'm kind of living on the edge a little bit here. Some of these networks can get really screwed up if you don't have excess storage there, so you might be importing tons of shit and clogging up the rest of this stuff, so you can't actually import your finished products. So you kind of have to manage it, but it's really easy to manage. So that's it for that. Let's take a look at how I've got this set up. So here's an import bus just like there is up on top of the chest. That's on top of this bad boy, our void miner. You can see I've got there's no switches here. This thing just runs wide open. So once something comes in, it goes into the chest and it gets pumped directly back into the network. So how is that working with the arc furnace? Well, as you can see, there's 2 little blue dots up here. Now, you've got a couple options here. Since the arc furnace can actually smelt alloys, the one, if you're looking at the front face, your left facing import port on the left is going to be anything that shows up over here. Okay. Now, if you're looking at stuff on the right, that's going to be anything that shows up in here. So you can smelt alloys with this, and it's pretty easy. But keep that in mind that you have to kind of watch where your inputs are. You can set this up and customize it on some of the other machines. However, on the arc furnace, you can't. The reason I like doing this is because eventually I'm going to upgrade the power on here in this thing. As you can see, it's not running wide open. In fact, it's not even running close to wide open. You can process a stupid amount of ores in here. Do keep in mind, though, and this is the one big note, is that I haven't found a way to put these son of a bitches into the machine automatically. And even the documentation says that you have to do this manually these last for a long time. If you notice that these aren't here up, like if you're running around doing shit, reload them. They're not that hard to make. So, all right, let's take a look at the export bus. Now, here's where the specification stuff comes in. You can see that I've got these unlocked with 2 capacity cards to get access to the whole 9x9 grid here. And what you have to do is you kind of have to tell it what you want to export. And we've done that here. So you can see that this stuff is being dumped into this machine. It doesn't matter. I don't have any level emitters. And the way you would kind of control the amount of stuff you're dumping into, say, a portion of the network, is you can use emitters, and then you can use toggle buses to shut parts of the network off. It does get kind of complicated. It does work relatively well, though. You just kind of have to monitor this stuff, and we'll go over that more later. You got a few options here. You can take a look at the scheduling mode. This one is export the first item until the network is empty, and then try the next ones. There are some options for round robin here. Let's check this out. So round robin, it'll just start picking this stuff and dumping it into the network. This will randomly push it out into the network. And then we're back to export first item until it's empty. So I've kind of got this set up the way I wanted. I don't usually use round robin. I kind of want to get this stuff out of there first, iron, and then everything else is just kind of whatever. So that's there. There are ways to increase this. So you can see that I only have 9 slots here. If we had to do this, we could build this up with a different inventory, such as like a chest over there. Your export bus will go onto any face, so you'd be able to put 4 faces on a chest, 5, and then it's something on the bottom to drop it in the machine. So you can get pretty creative with this, and we'll do that later because we're going to get into some more complicated setups, especially with crafting computers. So that's the way this looks, and it works pretty well. See, it's just dumping in iron as fast as it can pump it out. That's just what the system does. So that is the arc furnace, and that's your basic setup. So just remember, export bus on the left side. Get yourself a couple capacity cards going. They're not all that expensive to make. Certus quartz, your basic card there, calc processor, so that's pure Certus quartz. If you haven't set up your cheater machine over there, do it. It's worth it. So our import bus here, this is just running slow. You know, the stuff comes out here relatively slow. So there's that. I've hooked up my industrial grinder. If you haven't had this setup going already, get some water pumped in here. I haven't upgraded fluid pipes, but that's okay. Let's take a look at this. This isn't all that difficult to set up either. So we've got our export bus. You can see here I've got lead, gold, tin, aluminum, copper, and then iron. These all go in. There are 2 capacity cards in here, so it pushes it into this chest as fast as it can possibly do it. I shouldn't say as fast as it possibly can do it. I think the max here is 2. It looks like it. Export bus, yeah, 2. And that's typically, it's running stacks of stuff out of there as fast as it possibly can. Let's do a little bit of a demo here. Let's grab, yeah, that's fine. Let's pull this iron out, copper, and let's do some gold. But I'm going to sneak these right into the network. Oops. Oops. And let's go take a look. You can see the machine started up, so it's going to start pumping this stuff in. There goes the copper. Yep, it's going to try and do copper as much as possible to start with. Let's set this on round robin and just see what it does. So this isn't as fast as it could be if we pop these out. Oh shit, these are capacity cards. Sorry, these aren't acceleration cards. Where have I got the acceleration cards? They must be in here? What the hell? Oh, I bet I put them back in the inscriber. Yes, I did. Let's go put these back in the machine. Son of a bitch. Okay, so since I took those out, I'll have to put them back in. Let's just sneak some out of here. Let's do iron. We're going to do tin. We'll do gold, silver, lead, and we're going to do copper right away too. So let's set this back up. We can demo this real quick. So here, just a left click will get those in there. The item doesn't actually stay. You just do your business like this. Know what you're putting in there. And remember, you could face this onto any face of the machine. We're just pushing this into through the top because this is simple, and this machine will pull it straight out of the inventory. So as you can see now, that stuff is being pumped in there, round robin. It's a little bit faster, but let's go ahead and put these sons of guns in there. And now it's just blowing stuff in there. That is everything I put in there. It should be there. That's pretty much, that's how that works. So go ahead and get yourself some acceleration cards. It does cost, there is a certain amount of RF that comes out of this controller, and depending on how much you're sucking up, it will significantly drain this out. But again, use your toggle buses. You don't have to set them up like this. I set it up here because I don't necessarily want this machine running all the time, but use your toggle buses. You can shut parts of your network off. Now, the one last thing I wanted to talk about here was just a brief thing on these channels. Right now, so every face of an ME controller has a certain amount of channels available. Now, since I've got one of these dense smart cables on here, I'm using 4 out of 32 channels. Now, if I turn this back on, I'm going to go do this quick. Let's demo this. So these two are back on. Sometimes it takes a minute for this to come back up and do its business. If you see missing channel, it's probably because it's trying to find out if the ME controller has it available. Now you can see here 5 out of 32 channels if you look up towards the top. Before it was only 4. So the way you increase your ME network is you kind of drag your controllers out, so they all have to be touching. But you drag it out so that you expose more faces of the ME controller. Right now I've got 5 out of 32 channels. I foresee this getting to be a little bit ridiculous up here. I'm going to actually move this ME controller or drives and shit downstairs just to kind of clean this up a little bit. But go ahead and get yourself at least one of these so that you've got 32 available channels rather than your standard 8 off just regular fluids. So set it up like this. It works relatively well. If you'll notice on the smart cable here, the amount of lines that are kind of set up here correspond to what is attached to it. So once you get some more, I don't really have a good way to demo it right now. As you can see, this will shut off there. It just dropped down, and I think the way it works is it for every 4 it goes across, but we'll have to check that out because I'm not completely sure, and I don't have a way to demo it because I'm not cheating this time through. So, but that's about it for the basic automation. So we're importing our material, we're exporting it, and we're processing, and we should have a whole bunch of ore there. So that's it for this episode. Till next time.